I'm getting rid of 1,000 things, but I'm gonna make it bookish. Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. I was watching a video before I went to bed last night, like I usually do. I watch a lot of different kinds of videos. I love bookish videos and I will always watch bookish videos. I make them and I watch a lot of other creators who make bookish videos, but I also watch some of these kind of self-help, mommy type, personal improvement kinds of videos. And so last night I was watching this video on TEDx, and it was a woman who had this project where she got rid of 1,000 things. And she talked about her life in the corporate world and how when she decided that she was going to get rid of some things that she's audited, and she made rules about how she would count the things that she was getting rid of. And I was like, that's a great idea, but I don't really want to get into the nitty gritty. And also, I want to focus on why. So a couple of weeks ago, we had some family come to stay with us, and knowing that they were coming, I did a lot to prepare for them to come. Not because we need to have our house or our home look like a showroom, but there's just some things you want to kind of clean up so people can be comfortable when they come into your space. And so one of the things I found is that some of my books, the reason that my books live on tables and in boxes is because there isn't space on the shelves where there should be books. Sometimes there are other things. And a lot of that has been happening because as my daughter was growing up, we would move things out of her reach. Some of the things that were dangerous, some of the things that were valuable, whether sentimental or actual financial value, or just things that we didn't want her to destroy, because there's this whole thing about rotating toys. You know, when the child gets a little bored with them, sometimes they start to destroy them. So like I bought her this stethoscope. It's right there. I still have the box too. I don't know why. She likes to play with the box. And every day she'll come to me and she'll say, "Mommy, I want to be a doctor." And I take down the stethoscope, because that's what she means when she says she wants to be a doctor. It doesn't mean that she's definitely going to medical school, although we're definitely going to work on that as she gets older. No, I'm kidding. She could do whatever she wants to do, but she could do whatever specialty she wants to do in medicine, right? That's what the immigrant parents all say. Yeah, so fun and jokes aside. So I put the stethoscope out of her reach so that when she's ready to play with it, she could play with it. But if she has it for too long, then she starts to put it in her mouth and she starts to gnaw on the little pieces that cover the ear sections, and she'll rip the box open and that kind of thing. So it's not necessarily that it's dangerous or valuable. I keep it away from her until she's ready to play with it. I give it to her and I take it away. So I have things on the shelves that aren't books, is what I'm saying. Lots of things that aren't books. I have just lots of things. And as I'm thinking about another birthday in a couple of weeks now, I'm thinking about how I can make my life just a little bit easier. So yeah, one of the videos I was watching last night is getting rid of 1,000 things. And so I decided I'm going to see if I can get rid of 1,000 things, but I'm going to make it bookish. Because here's the other thing. While I do have a lot of books on these shelves that I love, I also have things on the shelves that aren't necessarily books. So yeah, like I said, there are lots of toys and toy related things here, but there are also a lot of books that aren't books that I want to read anymore. Books that aren't, I don't know if you even call them books. Like some of them are books that I haven't ever read because they're not books that you read. They're kind of like reference things, and they're not things that I'm referring to. I have books from when I was in college. I studied chemical engineering when I was in college. And while I was going through the process of college, I thought that after college, I was going to have a job in a very engineering heavy field. And I was going to be doing engineering calculations every day. So I kept my process control books and my thermodynamic books and my materials books and all of that. Lots of reference books at hand. But several years later, I have never worked in that kind of field. Even when I worked in engineering, I didn't do that. And probably now, if I went back to work in that environment, I probably wouldn't be using those books anyway. Plus, a lot of the information that I refer to these days is online. So some of those books I know I can get rid of because they're here. They're on shelves, not necessarily these shelves, but they're here and they're taking up space. And they could free me up to do other things and to love other things. So I'm going to be doing this process. And I hope you'll join me. Maybe you'll be inspired by this video and you'll also want to get rid of 1,000 things. We're not getting rid of 1,000 things in this video, guys, but we're starting the process. We're starting a little bit of a mind shift, just getting rid of things, not because they don't serve us, not because they don't have a purpose, but just because we don't necessarily need or want them in our space. You know, I wasn't a part of the just in case generation, but I was definitely raised by it. My parents and the life that I grew up in Jamaica, we didn't have the consumer products that are available to me right now in 2022. Growing up in the late 1900s, growing up in the 1980s, because I grew up in the 1980s, you know, we still saved the key that came on the corned beef can. I mean, I still do that. That's another. We still saved the cap for the toothpaste, just in case the toothpaste cap got lost. We would have a spare. I don't know why we did that. I don't know why we didn't think that we could just keep the toothpaste open until it was finished. I guess if it's open, if it's not sealed, the toothpaste gets hard, I guess. But then why do we leave the cap off? Why do we, when there's a cap, why do we leave the cap open? Why do guys do that? That's another story for a different time, Karen. You can't explore that today. But yeah, we used to save caps for toothpaste just in case we ever needed them. So we ended up with an entire drawer that was like, maybe not full, but like there was a sizable part of the drawer that just had toothpaste caps. I mean, if you're going to save one, but you don't need to save all of those. We used to save shopping bags because we didn't get a lot of beautiful shopping bags that we could reuse. But, and again, we're back in that period now in 2022 where we don't get plastic shopping bags. But we also don't give gifts like that, because now if I need to give a gift, I send a gift on Amazon, I send the gift to the person and not have to wrap it myself. If you want to see how I talk about all that, go check out my video where I talked about whether Amazon Prime was worth the hype. I'll link that down here just in case you want to go watch it, just in case, right? Yeah. So yeah, I definitely grew up in the just in case generation, but it doesn't mean that we have to have a lot of things around us just in case, because there are lots of things that we can do to fill those needs if they ever arise, when they arise. So there's a whole community on YouTube that's devoted to decluttering and all of that. This is not the focus of that video. It kind of is, but I'm getting rid of 1,000 things is what I'm saying. 1,000 things, some of them are going to be books, some of them are going to be book related, but they're not all going to be. So I'm going to share that with you, and let me know if this inspires you and you want to try a version of this project yourself. And so stay tuned for future videos where I'll do more of this. So yeah, stay tuned for me trying to get rid of some things. So I did it. No, I didn't find 1,000 things to get rid of, but I did find some things, like just random things, like souvenirs from when we went to Lincoln Center. We have pictures that will probably endure better than these souvenirs, so we could get rid of them. We can get rid of them. At my church, back in the before COVID, I used to teach a class where we would study part of the Bible, and we had books that we would study from, and then when we meet for church on Saturday, we would go through the lesson, and I was one of the teachers for a class. And so I have all these books. Like, guys, I have tons of these books. Did I mention I have tons of these books? And Yeah, we get a different one every quarter. We get 4 of them per year. And I won't, even though I say I'm going to hold on to them and revisit certain things, I never do, because there's always a new one to study, right? And these are archived online. I don't need to keep them. I really don't need to keep my notes. I do write notes in them, but I mean, it's not like my notes are like groundbreaking and profound. A lot of them are just kind of just underlined things. So I'm getting rid of some of those things. And while I was cleaning up the shelves, I found my daughter's juice box from yesterday, which made me feel very good because it means that there's no room for her to put her juice box on the shelf. So that's a win. So yeah, I have some arcs. This one is not an arc. But these 3 are arcs that publisher sent me, and I read them and I really enjoyed them. And I said, you know, maybe I'll get the finished copy. But the publishers never send me the finished copies. And these are not books that, I mean, they're not books that I would go out and look for copies myself. Because I like them, but I didn't like them that much. Like a couple of years later, 3 years later, I can't remember what the stories were about. So these are going, and I don't know where I'm going to donate these arcs. But yeah, arcs are going. And something that I'm learning is that just because somebody gives you something doesn't mean you have to keep it forever and ever and ever. So some of these, like this is a book. I met the author. This is an independently published book. And I was at a book fair one time, and I had a copy of my book and she had a copy of her book, and we switched. And so she, you know, the author, Alex, she made a little note in there. And that's cool to keep. But I haven't heard from her since. I haven't heard from Alex Chu since. So all of these are going. So lots of books are going. I found random shoelaces. I don't know where these came from. They're not my daughter's because she doesn't have shoes with laces. One time she did. I wonder if these were like the spares that came with those shoes. Well, the spare laces have outlasted the shoes, if that's the case. So I can get rid of them. So this is what I found on a first pass through my shelves. I took out these souvenirs from Carnegie Hall. So that's 1. These are books from my church. That's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 things so far. Index cards that I'm not using makes that 7. Shoelaces, 8. Some trading pins from a camporee that I attended, but these are really dangerous because they have this long pin. So I'm counting this as just one thing. So we're at, is that 9? And then these are just books, arcs that I don't need on my shelf. So that's 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 things. And that's just a first pass at 1 set of shelves. So I think we can do this like pretty easily. We can get to 1,000 things, right? So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you were inspired by it. And maybe you could find 1,000 things to get rid of as well. As you can see, I have a lot to do. But we will come back. I'll audit, I'll count up these, and next time we come back, we'll start at that number and just keep going. So yeah, thank you so much for watching this video. Give it a thumbs up if you liked it. Subscribe if you want to see more random kind of footage, but always making it bookish. So until we come back for that next video, happy reading. Bye.